And first item on the agenda is accept SCAP funding for the State Criminal Alien Assistance Program. And we have, changed the revenue accounts and the appropriation account, correct?
Correct.
Bob? Second? I'll second. Ready? Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Second is accept both approved less funding and budget amendment. This involves officer safety. I would ask for somebody to recommend we go into executive session. Bob?
Make a motion.
Second. Second. Murray? All those in favor?
Point of order, Mr. Chairman, why are we going into executive session?
Officer safety.
Something more specific than that, officer safety?
Officer safety.
Covered by 50%.
Mr. Chairman, we just need a motion to accept the grant.
Okay. Bob? Second.
And do what?
Yeah,
And what was that last part? And
And to
to
amend the budget.
the budget submission. We don't have a budget yet, right?
Right.
Are we amending the 2012?
No,
2013.
you're not really amending it because we don't have his submission. You gotta have a motion to amend what he submitted? He just should submit different, right?
Right.
All those in favor? Carried.
Jim? Jim? This committee didn't accept his budget. Never met on it.
Authorize a smartphone application with a free for public access of information in the Sheriff's Department. George, you want to explain that?
No?
Okay.
Okay. This is something new. We already have what they call a buying system, victim notification system, so that if I'm violated by someone and they can get convicted of a crime and they go to jail, I can sign up for this. So I know when that person's let out of jail, I'm phoned or I'm emailed, whether they're going to call me up and say, hey, I want to let you know that this person that attacked you or robbed you or whatever is getting out of jail. So you know. Also, when there's orders of protection, the victim would be notified when that person is issued that order of protection, because it's a real volatile time when that person, that violator, is issued the order of protection. The victim needs to be aware of it. This is a system that it doesn't cost us anything. The way they're doing it is attorneys can advertise on this. Not really to advertise, it's not going to pop up and say Herkimer County Jail recommends, Dewey Chief and Howells for attorneys to represent it. It's basically, it'll have an information app in there. This will go right to your cell phones and your smartphones. It's an app. It'll tell you, you'll be able to get information on who's in our jail, where they are, sex offenders, registry, sex offender mapping. It's a free app to anyone's cell phone. So it's a contract that we have to sign. It's no cost to us. This is all done through APRIS, who handles the buying system. It's just more information for people that want it. Not everybody wants the information about who's in jail or why they're there or anything else, but this one will actually, it has the department app in there, and also training, crime awareness. There's a lot of things in there. But in the world that we live in today, we do pistol permit classes. We can put that on there. And this information about the inmates, we already report that to, through our system now, automatically, comes out of the jail management system that we have. It automatically goes to the Vine system. That information's gathered from the Vine system and put into these apps. We're not doing anything on it. So, no cost, but it's a contract that the county attorney has to review. I know there's one thing in there now about any legal ramifications have to be heard in maybe Louisville, Kentucky or someplace like that. We don't do that. It has to say New York State, so the contract will be changed and the county attorneys do what they always do and make sure that it's favorable to us.
I reviewed what was sent in the mail, and I looked them up online, and they're quite a big conglomerate. What did they, they're a private corporation. I mean, they're not a government operated. Is there ads on it? What is it? How are they generating?
Well, like I said, there would be maybe a reference app. You go on that reference app, and you can find out information. So attorneys can sign up for this.
Yeah, but what is the company getting out of it?
Excuse me?
What's the company getting out of it? I'm just trying to understand it, since it's a...
Well, I would imagine that if an attorney signs up, so that you have a, or a bail bondsman, or any, one that provides services for a fee to inmates, I would imagine they're going to have to pay an advertising fee or some kind of a fee. And that's how the company who provides all this service gets paid.
But there's no I'm just curious if there's advertising.
No, that's the first thing I said is, Herkimer County, like I said earlier, you get on the app and the Herkimer County Jail's app comes up and information, and then you have this low bar with attorneys or whomever on it. No, it's got an app that you can enter into to get services.
Like Yellow Pages.
Right.
Can we put a sunset on it? In case there's any down the road, there is a cost associated with it, would have to come back to us.
There's no cost guaranteed in the contract for 5 years.
For 5 years, okay.
Okay, so that was sunset is out.
Yeah,
I'll make
it's
a
a
motion.
5 year.
Motion. A second.
I'll second.
Ernie, Alan?
Do we pay for Vines, doing the Vines thing? Is that, we don't pay for that either?
Nope.
Chris, there's no chance of somebody coming back after us, see one of the inmates, any kind of legal.
You can get that information right now. You can go on different websites and get that information.
Is it only reference to convicted people that are in the jail, Mr. Chairman? It's only people that are convicted, or no?
No, it's jail population. It's who's in our jail.
Names and everything?
Jail
Who's in our
population.
jail?
I think it's a great thing.
I think that's what some of the legislature wanted before.
Absolutely.
I did.
This is a way to do it for free. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
You got a smartphone now.
Thanks, Chris.
How long will it take to be effective, I wonder?
I think when they get,
The contract?
I think they said maybe once two attorneys sign up for it or something.
Last thing item we have on the agenda is authorizing application for D91 wireless reimbursement, and we got Chris here too. I want to thank Bob and Chris for all the work they did. Bob did a tremendous amount of work. That little events, and I know Chris's department's been active, real active too, so thank you very much.
And we'd like to thank the Sheriff's Department because we did borrow a person for overnight. We were running short. We had 3 or 4 people out with pneumonia and bronchitis, and so he supplied a person. He came up himself all night and sat with me.
You really deserve our thanks then, Bob. Okay. E91 wireless reimbursement.
This is simply our yearly reimbursement from the state. This cycle, which is 2012 through 2015, is the span that you have to ask for the reimbursement. It is $33,199 for this cycle. That's about what we've been getting the last few years in that area. We were up to back, I would say in like 2008 and 9, we were in the about the $36,000 range. It's down, of course, like everything else. But this is just simply the authorization to allow us to sign that we are following the protocols that they set forth for the reimbursement. And it's pretty open, you can use it for about anything except personnel and benefits. And we generally will supply them with invoice numbers for the maintenance that we have for the radio system or 911 system.
All in motion? Bob, second? Great. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Mr. Chairman? Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
I do.
Yes,
When we were meeting on the budget, I don't know if it was last time or the time before, I asked a question. Jim has been kind enough to provide some information on the cost of the posts downstairs in this building. And I think you got copies of that too. And I'm wondering if this committee is interested at all in looking at the ability to contract that service, so those deputies that are assigned there, I think Jim said there's like 19 hours a week, 19 hours a day, no, 19 hours a week, Jim, I can do it.
19 hours a day.
19 hours a day available with the deputies that are assigned there. Because there, in trying to look on the computer, I can see, I don't know the cost. I mean, we're $100 and some thousand for that post downstairs with fringe, and we know that the very ever escalating costs in terms of the fringe and the pension, and that pension being, even more expensive than is traditional because of the opportunity to retire earlier. I'm wondering if we should not be looking at if there's a means of saving money while still providing adequate security. Jim copied to me the piece in the CSEA contract that requires that we have the Magatron or whatever you call that thing downstairs. There is, I believe, a state contract that's zoned regionally. It's like you do mini contracts on it. I called somebody in OGS to see whether we could get more information, and the individual wasn't available to us. But I mean, $100 and some thousand is a lot of money, especially when we're going to be meeting, talking about how do we do everything we need to do best for the deputies that are so critically important. And I referenced I think it was last week, having gone into the state office building and seeing the type of security that they have there. You give you a badge and you sign where you're going and you turn your badge back in when you come out. And I think this is true at other places. I know that there was tragedy here in Herkimer County, and that may be what prompted it. But I would hope that your committee would be willing to look into other means of funding it, and of course in concert with the sheriff. But to be able to have 3 deputies available back on the rolls within the jail and the duties of the sheriff, and not, the money that's gone into training, to see if there's a way that we can reduce the cost while still providing the service. And I wondered if your committee would be willing to
I
look
have
into
no
it.
problem looking at it at all. In fact, some people didn't know my feelings about the security on the front door, but I have no problem looking at that at all.
Could we have any, I don't know, if the sheriff has anything to add to it, that, I know that there is a contract. I'm understanding that it can be accessible by local government, but I don't know that for sure, which would make the bidding less, less
Yeah, I don't
effort.
see any problem looking into it at all.
How would we go about doing that?
We'll get together with Chris and Jim and Rob and Bernie and possibly Steve.
Mr. Chairman,
Because it's contractual.
you mind if I just say something?
No, go ahead.
All right, I just want everyone to be aware that most of the people that work down there are part-time people. So they're not getting the benefits. It's not costing us that much. And I think it's around $14 an hour is what we pay to have them down there. Most of them aren't police officers with other agencies. Some of them are retired state police. So they're not, we use as many part-time employees down there as we possibly can to cut the cost there. So that's something that you're gonna have to think about too.
Well, I think that would go in the whole discussion. That's why we'd have to really.
I think it's a good point, Chris. We gotta make sure we compare apples to apples.
Absolutely.
And I think that's all Helen's asking.
Well, and I think, Jim, based on the figures that you gave me, $115,944 per year,
Right.
and then if you take the number of days, you're talking 247 days, right? Because you're talking 5 days a week less the 13 paid holidays.
Right.
So you're talking $469.40 a day. This is average, So you're talking $24.70 an hour is really what it comes out to, the cost that Jim came up with, when you add the fringe costs. I mean, just by doing the simple math on it.
Yeah, there's
I'm
not
at
a lot of fringes on those, but there is some.
Well, I think that's something that we'd have to sit down, discuss, and find out, you know.
Well, there's retirement. Aren't these people entitled to retirement?
I think several of them are retired already.
Well, that's what the math you gave me, Jim, and then somebody else
Oh, no,
said we could
that's-
check it, but.
I didn't give you every,
No, I think.
I didn't break out everything.
No, but I just took the total.
right, no, the total's
Because we
very
don't have any
close.
idea what.
It's $24 an hour.
The contract would even cost us, so, but I think it's a good idea, we'd be more than glad to sit down and we'll discuss it and see what we can.
I think in the point, I didn't realize that was the one, I knew that the court system was paying our deputies, but I thought there were deputies upstairs. I didn't realize they were paying for what's at the front door over there, and that's good. That's good that they are.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to also point out that we get reimbursed from BSS for what's supposed to be 1.5 of those people comes out of BSS. And we don't get reimbursed from courts for deputies. We get reimbursed from courts for court attendants that are $62.50 a day, and they're the ones that work over in the courtrooms. They're not weapons trained, they're not armed. Their only job is to help with attorneys, paperwork for the judges, things like that. We get reimbursed in the court for court attendants, not deputies. I just wanted to clarify that.
Oh, then I need to understand that again. I thought Jim said to me, the people that are manning the booth, the
Our
manning
state employees.
our state, that we're not paying for that post at all.
Right.
That's
The
what
new
I'm trying to
building,
make.
Quote unquote, the new building.
So this money is just for the
In
existing
the
building.
road.
Right. And it's not a reflection on the caliber of the work down there. It just would seem that if we're running overtime, having those people available into the sheriff's department, providing
Yeah,
whatever
this is what
security.
we're looking into.
Good.
We'll do that.
There's no savings there, though. If you transfer those people into the department to do work in the department and put outside help down here, you just add it to the payroll.
Well, I think we're running overtime. We're running overtime, and part-time people are scheduled based on need.
You've got a busy morning, so we'll take a look at it, Helen, before the glad to. Motion to adjourn?
How are we coming with it up so you don't throw a thing?
I didn't hear.
We have to have that.
The narrow banding?
Yeah.
Bob, how are we with the narrow banding? Fred wants to know how we are with the narrow banding.
We are presently installing mobile radios throughout the county. We have about 75 mobiles. We have about 26 station receivers and some other things to install. That process is ongoing right now. So we're getting into it, and I'll be glad when it's done.
Mr. Chairman?
Be your deadline date?
We gonna meet the deadline?
Yes, we will be.
We're in good shape?
I would say we'll be pretty close to being all done by the end of November.
Good.
Just an update on the status of the design of the jail. Is your committee going to be reviewing something? When's the last time your committee's heard anything, and what's going on? Is your little separate group meeting, or what's going on as far as the jail design?
My little group hasn't done.
So the other, whoever's been working with, there's nothing happening. Everything's frozen on Lavella. We haven't paid any money.
Yep.
What's the status with the village of Herkimer on their lawsuit? We have to check with Drumm on
Yeah,
that.
I don't know.
They appealed the process, whether they've perfected the appeal, Bob, I'm not sure. To my knowledge, it hasn't been perfected yet.
We still don't have to go ahead, right?
Absolutely. No.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Bob and Fred. All in favor?
Oh, that's not Bob and Ray.